There are some things that simply leave you speechless. And the way that the Miami Hurricanes lost their most recent game against Duke on Saturday certainly qualifies. 8 turnovers that handed the Blue Devils the game and marked the 4th time this year that Miami's self-inflicted wounds were the prevailing reason that they lost the football game. Well, now the Canes are in big trouble and heading to Virginia with a 3-4 record that leaves the entire season in jeopardy. They need to win 3 of their last 5 games to absolutely stunning the way that this season has fallen apart. But Mario Cristobal is standing strong, insistent that he knew what he was getting himself into when he left Oregon to come to Coral Gables. Take a listen.
We came here on a mission with a purpose, understanding that's going to take tough-minded people with the right demeanor that can approach it the right way and fully invest in our players and the program. That's what it's taken when we went to Rutgers, when we spent time at Oregon, all the places we've been at, and it's no different here. And so we're here for every part of it. When you talk about what it takes or how long it takes, it all depends on what the starting point is, right? Changes that take place for 1 of 2 reasons. Either things have gone really well or things have not gone so well. And so there's a change. For example, we left 8th place in very good standing, winning 2 out of 3 conference championships. Best recruiting classes in history, set to go forward. And we are here to achieve that and more. So,
with recruiting momentum, you guys had a lot of momentum coming into the season. How do you not let the momentum be affected now by the results on the field?
I think you guys try to affect it more than anything. We have from day one made it very, very clear what we're here to do and what we're here to build. And our history has shown that. We don't sell a dream. We don't sell any false hope. We sell the reality of a track record and what we've done and where we've been and how we've done it. And I think that both parents and players appreciate honesty and truth and good people, and they see a path for a great future for their sons as well. So again, the truth is always going to win out in the end. Being real is always going to win out in the end. And when you are at a program, whether you just got there, been there, whatever, there's always a starting point. We're at our starting point, and we're going with what we started with and making it the very best that we can. It's a different starting point than other places that we've been at, and that's fine too. There is no flinch, there is no hesitation. It's just time to go to work, and I don't think anyone should ever shy away from that or look at that in a negative aspect. That's the reality of life, and for our players to be successful fathers and future husbands and members of society one day, you got to be willing to accept the starting point and go to work and do everything you can to help make it better and change it. And no one should ever look at anything being wrong with that. The most important thing is always, always get to work. Don't rationalize, don't sugarcoat. Keep finding ways, keep looking for ways, and keep working the process. Tweak it where you have to, get better where you have to, and go from there. We got to do it holistically. We got to, as a coaching staff, we have to find ways to give our guys a chance to make plays that can turn that momentum and put us in a mindset to help us finish. Sometimes we just got to dig down deep and find a way to compete and fight harder and better to finish. But either way, it's sometimes it might be the defense, sometimes it might be the offense, but it's got to be us. It's got to be together as a team and as a staff. What you can't ever allow to filter in is splintering, right? Because I think when you are, not this day and age, just in general, human nature, right? Weak human beings will splinter. They'll point fingers, they'll just kind of fold. And it's never been a part of the DNA of being a Miami Hurricane. And I think guys are really, really trying. The message to them was real clear. You're going to continue to get every ounce of effort from every single one in the organization to make you the best that you can be. Because that's what you do, especially when things are difficult, and especially when things are challenging. And we all came here together to build a championship program. Doesn't matter if you got here 3 years ago, 4 years ago, if you got here in December. It doesn't matter. We came here for the same program. We're going to build a champion on and off the field, and we're going to leave no doubts, right, in what we do and how we do it. So that's not just going to happen. That's, Again, we're not going to proclaim that. We just have to go to work and make it a reality over time, work, and effort.
So the Hurricanes have to dig down deep. They have to dig down real deep. Tonight, as we begin a new edition of CaneSport Live, we're going to try to bring it all into focus. The past, last Saturday's performance, the primetime game against Florida State that's looming on the horizon, and everything in between. Hello again, everybody. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, and we welcome you once again to your show, CaneSport Live. It is your show. It's going to be driven by your participation. The call-in number is 563-999-3550. That's 563-999-3550. You hit the number 1 on your keypad if you call in and you would like to participate in the show. That puts you in the queue. We see you in the queue. We bring you on the show in the order that you land in the queue. We have more than 100 open phone lines available tonight. Plenty of room for anybody to call in and participate. Remember, just hit the 1 on your keypad when you do so. We asked the subscribers at CaneSport.com to submit the topics and questions that they would like to hear discussed on tonight's show, and we will get to those as we go through the course of the evening. So let's start tonight by going right to your phone calls. I know everybody has a lot to say. If you're watching on YouTube, you can use the comments section to post additional topics and thoughts on the show, and we will address those as well as we move forward. So remember the number, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. All right, so we start tonight with some breaking news, and CaneSport has just reported that we're expecting Tyler Van Dyke to miss probably a minimum of 3 games, and that Jake Garcia will start this Saturday at Virginia, and he's expected to be the quarterback for the Florida State game, and we think he will also be the quarterback for the Georgia Tech game. And I would think that what happens when the Canes go to Clemson will be determined to a large degree what happens these next 3 weeks. This is Jake Garcia's opportunity to throw himself into the future quarterback race at Miami. And we talked a little bit about that on the website this week. And I really believe what we said. I think it is open to anything right now. I don't think there's any guarantees even that Tyler Van Dyke will come back to Miami next year. I think he is going to get a lot of opportunities and a lot of people coming at him and his camp and his agents to go into the transfer portal. Not so indifferently to, what we have seen this year with, say, like a Bo Nix that left Auburn and went to Oregon, with an Adrian Martinez that left Nebraska, went to Kansas State. Quarterbacks move around in today's modern day college football. And I really believe, like I just said, that the slate is wiped clean at quarterback for Miami right now. And I think this is Jake Garcia's opportunity. Now, he had one in the second half against Duke. It started out great in those first couple minutes, and it went to hell real fast after that. He turned the ball over a few times. He looked unprepared, and it was not a good look for Jake. That said, with the current situation with Tyler Van Dyke being banged up, Mario Cristobal did not waver at all. He said that Jake Garcia will be QB1 if it comes down to that. And what we're reporting tonight is it has come down to that Jake Garcia will be quarterbacking the Miami Hurricanes on Saturday against Virginia. We'll be joined by Matt Shodell here in a few minutes. He just broke that story, and we'll talk about that with him. Obviously, we could talk about that on your phone calls. The number is 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you would like to come on the show. Let's start out first in the where you're live on CaneSport Live. How you doing this evening?
I think John Ruiz is going to fund this program with the shit show that's being portrayed on the field this year.
I
Is he
do.
going to be willing to put big money into this?
I believe he will. Yes, I do.
Race.
I do believe that he will continue to fund it. I think he'll put even more money into it. I think he's going to bring cigarette racing probably into the equation, and he's going to do more NIL than ever. I mean, if you look at it as a pure marketing play, Greg, NIL has worked out great for LifeWallet. It has put LifeWallet on the map. Now, what that means, I don't know. I don't know that they're making a ton of revenue from NIL, but they certainly have gotten their name out there around the country. And they are known as the entity at Miami that has absolutely gone into this NIL arena and is doing, major things and a lot of, obviously deals and has become a very big player in college football in the NIL arena. And so if you look at it as pretend it's not LifeWallet, let's say it's Coca-Cola, and you look at it as a marketing buy, it's a pretty good marketing buy. I mean, they're spending $10 million and their name is all across the United States of America. And obviously here in South Florida, it's a big deal. John Ruiz, who nobody ever spoke about before this, is now a household name in South Florida. Okay. So if you said to a billionaire, you could spend $10 million and your profile in South Florida is going to go through the roof and everybody's going to know who you are. And you are going to be the big man on campus, so to speak, in the city of Miami, where you've been in business for your whole life and nobody really noticed very much. That's a pretty good spend when you're talking about running it through your company. It's going through your company, through your business. I think John Ruiz, Greg, is getting everything out of NIL that he wanted. And yes, I do think he will continue to do it. All right. Now I'm going to bring Matt Shodell into the show, who just broke that story on Jake Garcia starting at quarterback this weekend and probably for the next few games. And Matt, what do you think this means for the Miami Hurricanes offense?
Yeah, I was just kidding. I just wanted to get people excited about the team again. So Jake's going to start. And as for what it means to the offense, it's not, to me, it's not about what it means to the offense in this game per se. It's a chance to do another evaluation at what we have as Miami Hurricanes at a certain position. This one just happened to be a very, very minor position people call quarterback. And I really want to know what Jake Garcia has, because it wasn't always fair, I don't feel like, to Jake that he really never got meaningful reps with the first team, even as a backup, which, to me, you're always one play away, right? And he was one play away this last game, and he took as many mental reps as he could in practice, obviously. We had a player tell us earlier today that on tape you see Jake mimicking Tyler behind him, sort of what the reads are. But that's different than actually getting first-team reps in practice and then going in a game and you sort of have that first-team vibe. It's different working with backups. So this is his chance, right? He has a full week of practice that he'll have under his belt, starting on the road at Virginia, which is a decent defense, actually. And we'll see what he's got. And then we'll know. For those of you that think, those first 4 games this year when Tyler was struggling, that Jake should be the guy, well, now we'll know, because I don't feel like those last 2 times Jake really got a chance to play were indicative of what he can do or should do as a quarterback. Whether it was good or bad, either way, it could have been fluky. It wasn't like that big a chance to see what he did. But now he's got the entire week. Coaches know how he's different than Tyler. They can call the game differently, set up the game plan differently, whatever they want to do, and make the most of his ability, and we'll find out. I sometimes I wish I was Greg and on Good Morning CaneSport, and I could just pretend I didn't hear you and my connection got cut off. Can I do that? Greg, is that a thing that we can do to Gary? Because I'm going to start doing that.
I don't know what was up with Greg tonight.
I want to start doing that. I think he's a genius. Greg's a genius.
He had some crazy stuff going on there for a minute, but people are joking that we should be calling this show tonight "Good Evening CaneSport" instead of CaneSport Live. But your fan club is growing. D says Matt.
I don't have a fan club.
Diehard Diesel says Matt is the man, And David Garcia asks the question, Matt, isn't this what Matt wanted? And it is what Matt wanted. He wanted to see Jake Garcia for some complete games this year. And
it's always strikes me as funny. Anybody who says they just want to see a player get a chance, you're asking the other guy get benched. That's not at all what I meant or wanted, just as people sometimes, like myself, read into what Mario Cristobal says that he didn't mean. What I meant was quarterback to me at this point, sitting at 3 and 4, is no different than linebacker or some of these other positions where I just, I don't want to lose games because you're playing backups, but I just want to see what these guys have. Let them get first-team reps in practice, 50% first-team reps, whatever it is, so they're acclimated to being a first-team player playing against other first-team players, if that's what they do in practice, which they don't. But, the idea is that. And then get them into a game a little bit. See what they can do. Let them run around. Some guys are better in games than they are in practice. You don't know until they're actually in games. And if you're going to jettison half the team, which is what a lot of fans want right now, it would be nice to know what they could do first.
Our number tonight is 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. We'll keep Matt around for a few minutes also so you can comment on some of your Jake Garcia questions and other things. So I never felt that Tyler should be benched, and I still don't. And I think it's good that it's working out this way, not because Tyler's injured, but because we are going to get a chance to see Jake play. And I've always been a huge fan of Jake. I felt like last year, had he not gotten hurt, that he and Tyler would have been neck and neck the whole season, and that maybe the history of 2021 would have been a little bit different. It was not. Tyler got a lot of game experience. He is now an established college quarterback at whatever level you think he is at. And he's had a lot of 300-yard plus games, I guess 8 of them now. And, Tyler Van Dyke is considered one of the upper tier quarterbacks in college football. We get to find out these next few weeks where Jake Garcia is at in his development. And he's now had a long time to practice. He's recovered from his injury. He's had plenty of practice time, has not had a lot of first team reps, but he'll be getting those this week. And I think, Matt, that Jake Garcia, with a week of preparation, is going to look a lot different than Jake Garcia that we saw last Saturday against Duke.
Well, we're going to find out. I don't know what this format is you have going on CaneSport Live. I never watch because it's a waste of time. But I do notice these crazy people posting on the side here, so I'll answer some of these questions. Yes, I want to see Jakari get first-team reps in practice. Yes, I'd like to see him get a series or 2 in a game, of course, and throw a pass. How about, let's see him throw a pass. I know that Gary and I saw him struggling in the fall. It doesn't mean he's in fall practice. Doesn't mean he's still struggling. I would like to see what he has, of course. As for have I gone crabbing in Maine? If I ever go to Maine, I will go on a lobster boat. I don't need to go crabbing. I've gone blue crabbing on the Long Island Sound. Actually, not the Long Island Sound, sorry. In the Great South Bay. I've gone blue crabbing in the Great South Bay. And it's not for me, man. Like, blue crabbing in the Great South Bay in the shallows, you're jumping off the boat, and you're running around trying to catch these crabs in a net. And honestly, they're a pain in the ass to eat. Okay, I lived in Maryland for years. I used to get soft shell crabs at Fadley's. I'd bring them home. They were alive, of course, because you don't want to eat dead soft shell crabs. They're alive. I'd clean out their lungs, cut off their heads, saute them up in some nice butter or garlic sauce, and they were delicious. Okay, but you don't know when you're jumping in the bay trying to catch a crab if it's a soft shell crab or not. It's usually not. I'm going to stick to stone crabbing, all right? That was one question I just saw. Can I walk and chew gum? No, but I can walk and eat stone crabs. Show ponies, I still don't quite know what that means. I like it, though, I think. I especially don't know what the rainbow-colored unicornish pony is. I don't know if that's, I'm a liberal. I don't know. Am I a liberal? I mean, I'm registered independent. So, maybe half rainbow unicorn and half not. I don't know.
If you're going to be on CaneSport.com, you got to be registered independent for sure.
Is Jake part of my cult group? For those of you that think I have a cult group, I will call the cops on you if you show up at my house and try to join my cult, okay? There is no cult. There has never been a cult. I was never attacked by a bear. Let's make that clear right now. Let's see. Some of you won't get that reference. Let's see.
At Matt's house, there's only protesters, man. This is all you get at Matt's house. The stone crabs revolt on Matt's sidewalk outside his domicile, and you know that's it, man.
I don't eat that kind of stone crab, unlike you, Gary. Let's see. What's the word on Desmond Ricks, Cormani McLean, and Damari Brown? I think Damari Brown will come. The other two, if who asked that question? 818 Callie Kane. The word on Cormani and Desmond is if you make a boatload of money, 818 Callie Kane, and you want to help the NIL program and you have a company you want to form, you could call it whatever you want. You can call it Matt Stone Crab Kingdom. They don't care. Just register in the state of Florida. Hire these guys to be $10 million advertisers for your fake company, and bam, they'll be Miami Hurricanes. That's how those two guys will be Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah, I agree. Those two are going to be NIL situations. But I think Miami's kind of been laying in the weeds a little bit from an NIL standpoint and a recruiting standpoint. And, everyone's predicting Cormani to go to Florida. And, we'll see if that ends up being the case. And, Ricks has been, very, very, very engaged with Miami. So we'll see. I mean, it's way too soon to predict what those guys are going to do, but I agree with Matt. I think NIL potential, because they can't sign their NIL deals till they get on campus. It's NIL potential and the promise of NIL at these institutions. But I do think I agree with Matt that NIL will be very much in the forefront. All right.
Can I answer more questions, or are you going to kick me off already? You don't want me to take over.
I'm going to bring a caller on. Will you stick around?
Can I answer a couple of quick questions?
Oh, go ahead.
All right. Love Legos. Die Hard Diesel. I think you should change your name. But my favorite player to interview, like, is that all time or just like on this current team? My favorite player to interview all time was probably Clinton Portis, just because he would say whatever, man. He just didn't care. He would predict how many yards he would get against Florida State for real. On the record, didn't care. I like interviewing people that don't care, Chris Johnson is still in limbo in that he hasn't committed, obviously, but I still think Miami's a good chance. Alaska crab legs prices are never coming back down because there are no more Alaska crabs to buy. So supply and demand, no supply, same demand, skyrocketing prices. That is all I know about supply and demand that I learned I actually tried to be an economics major. I took economics, 101 and 102? Micro and macroeconomics, they called it. And apparently I needed like microscopic economics because I did not understand either of those. My favorite player to interview was not Jaleel Florence, okay? He would have been if he talked to me once. If he had talked to me just once, I would have happily named him as my favorite player. Zion, I don't think Zion's coming back this year.
People have been begging Matt, please bring Matt on CaneSport Live one night.
Nobody wants me anyway. Nobody. This is a foreign concept to me. No, I go to dinner with my wife. They're like, Matt, could you please leave? We want to have a normal conversation. Why people would want me on any of these things is it's mind blowing. It's as mind blowing as what's happened to the Miami Hurricanes this season, honestly.
Wait, so Matt, usually players rally in situations like this around the new guy, and it can sometimes be a lift for a team that's been struggling the way this one has. Do you anticipate the Miami Hurricanes being able to summon up that type of juice here these next few weeks and kind of get their season kind of back on track the best they can?
Here's the thing. I live in the real world, okay? Multiple Miami coaches, even off the record, have told us this team is giving maximum effort in practices and in games. If you believe that, if that's true, how do you reach another level? There's no other level to reach. What you have is what you have. They're playing their hardest. They've been coached by you for 10 months. Your personnel is what your personnel is. It's not like you're bringing new guys in and playing them much. At least they haven't been. So for me, I always say I'll believe it when I see it. I want them to win, of course. It's much more fun covering a team that's winning than this disaster we're seeing, And the future's still bright. Like, Miami fans should certainly not give up. And, I guess being the pessimist I am, I saw this coming maybe more so than others. With my philosophy always is expect the worst, and then you'll just be happily surprised. Even me expecting the worst, I never expected 3-4, man, with the teams they're playing. Duke, Middle Tennessee, like it's ridiculous. And if coaches said we're not playing hard enough, we're going to find guys that are playing harder. If coaches said, this is the problem we've identified, and we're gonna and this is what we're working to fix, then I'd say okay. But one game it's penalties, one game it's turnovers, 3 games you can't pass the ball, 3 games you can't run the ball. It's so many different things that seem to just pop up. Is it Mario Cristobal's fault? Is it Josh Gaddis's fault? Is it Kevin Steele's fault? Yes. For those of you that aren't watching, I'm shaking my head no. because it's everything. It's not just the coaches. It's not just the players. It's not just Gary Ferman's fault, although he probably bears some of the blame as well for making everyone think they're going to be amazing this year. The reality is this still is a team that most of the players are from last year's team. Now, did I think they had a great young nucleus of players last year? James Williams, Cam Kinchins, Leonard Taylor, blah, 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 blah. Rashard Smith even. Yeah, I did. Have they made plays to the level I thought they should? I think they should. No. Is that their fault? The coach's fault? We have not been allowed to practice. We have not been allowed to practice since the end of fall drills. I can't in good conscience tell you guys what the problem is because I don't know. All I know is what I see on Saturdays. What I see on Saturdays is a poorly coached team that isn't making plays and that seems to not be having fun. That's what I see. Is that the truth? No, because I know they're good coaches. Yeah, I know they're good enough players.
The kids have not been having fun. You're so right.
They are not having fun, and there's a major disconnect between what the coaches want and what these players seem to be able to do. And until you fix that problem, I mean, you can't just say, okay, everything's going to be hunky-dory now that Jake Garcia is the quarterback, because changing the quarterback, it can bring a spark to the offense. But at the end of the day, the team is what the team is. The offensive line is still going to struggle. There's one wide receiver right now who's proven himself, and the tight ends can't block. You can go on and on. I don't want to start bashing people, but when you're 3-4, you don't even need to bash people because they've already been bashed. I feel bad enough for these guys as it is, so I don't need to add to it. It's just disheartening. But the future's bright, and I'm going to wait for the future. I'm going to do the Rip Van Winkle. If I could go to sleep right now for 3 years, I would sign that. I would sign on that contract line right now. I would go to sleep for 3 years right now and then wake up again. No joke. For the Miami Hurricanes, not for my life, just for the Miami Hurricanes.
Let me just reset the number for everybody. 563-999-3550. 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Please call in so I don't have to let Matt go on another 30-minute soliloquy there. So anyway, Greg, what you got for us tonight?
Okay. We have 46 4- and 5-star players on this team. The rating services cannot be that bad, Gary. We are so underachieving, it's scary. Duke, we beat Duke 95-10 over the last 2 years with the immortal Manny Diaz at the helm. And we get blown out with Mario at the helm. How many times are you going to let the quarterback run up the middle down on the goal line? Is Kevin Steele comatose or something? Well, what is with this guy? You got to be kidding. Duke is a basketball college, not a football powerhouse. This is a joke that they could be this pathetic. And you tell me how tough South Florida kids are? They're soft as Charmin. They're awful. Stop with this South Florida baloney, okay? Once they fall behind, they quit. It's embarrassing to the university, and they're going to put $150 million into this program. Are you kidding me? Come on. What's the answer, Gary?
Obviously you're making some good points. It's been a little bit of everything, Greg. I mean, it really has. I mean, it's been the coaches sometimes that haven't done as well as they probably could. It's been the players. It's been opposing coaches. doing some creative stuff, man, in game planning. And, it's been causing problems with this team and this level of personnel and this group. And, last week I think we talked about it on this show. I mentioned that Duke had a couple coaches that had been at Miami, David Feely, the strength coach, and Jess Simpson, the defensive line coach. They knew Miami's personnel backwards, forwards, and sideways. They know who's not necessarily that, such a smart on-field player. They knew the strengths and weaknesses of every single guy. And I'm sure Duke game planned to exploit that stuff. And they did some crazy things. I mean, there was one defensive scheme they had where they overloaded, I think, 5 guys to the left side of Miami's offensive line and just brought the house. And Miami wasn't prepared for it. And that's when Tyler got, nailed, and Jake got nailed twice, and they had 3 strip sacks. You don't see 3 strip sacks in an entire season, much less in a game. There is some really bizarre stuff that we are seeing this year. When you talk about 4 deep balls in a single game, which we saw against Middle Tennessee, the 2 then a week later that they gave to North Carolina that turned that game. It was a 3-point game. That was 14 points. They gave Carolina on 2 more deep balls. You can't, it's like, there's a reason why they're losing. When have we ever seen Tyreek Stevenson muff a punt before, like he did at Texas A&M? He's trying to make a play for his team. Is it over anxiousness?
Did I do that? Look what I did.
Did you actually do that? Because I'm saying
I win.
I know. I'm not
CaneSport Live.
I know I'm not hitting the button on these things. We've created a monster here tonight. I think Matt's going to just take over CaneSport Live after this. He's seeing how much fun the show is. But Greg, honestly, there's just been so many things, man. So I don't think it's just players. I don't think it's just coaches. I keep calling it's a group effort. They all collectively have not been meshing here in year one the way they've needed to win these games. That's the best I can answer it.
Okay. Why wasn't Corey Brown put in the game at the end to see if he can even throw the ball? We were getting blown out. Jake Garcia's throwing ducks down the middle. He can't complete anything down the middle. He throws 50-50 balls. And Colby Young made a good play. Jake Garcia is not the answer. I guarantee you right now. He couldn't shine Van Dyke's shoes. You got to be kidding me. And you're telling me it's a good thing we're going on national TV in 2 weeks? What if we get blown out?
I think it's a great thing.
Is that going to do anything?
Yeah, no, listen, you don't shy away from that opportunity in 2 weeks fearing, oh my God, we're going to get blown out. Are you kidding me? You got a national TV audience on ABC. Okay, this is not regional sports network. This is not Bally Sports, Greg. This is ABC prime time on a Saturday night from Hard Rock Stadium. That if this damn marketing department and game presentation department has any sense and gets their act together, that place is going to be lit up big time. They're going to roll out the Miami Knights jerseys. I got to hope there'll be activations around that. I mean, Miami, and you know what? The fans are part of this, okay? The fans need to show up for the Florida State game because this is Miami's showcase this season. This is the chance to show that football is not dead at the University of Miami, going through some tough times, but Miami will show up for the game, the big game, and this is going to be a prime time showcase on a Saturday night, and there is no reason that Hard Rock Stadium should not look like Hard Rock Stadium looked in 2017 when Notre Dame came to town. Okay, because it was amazing that night.
Right.
Okay,
I
Greg.
agree. It'll be half the fans will be Florida State fans.
Well, not if the Canes fan comes through. Because how are they going to get the tickets, Greg? The only way they get those tickets is if Miami fans put them on StubHub, because Florida State gets their allotment and the Miami ticket office controlled all the rest of them. And now maybe some Florida State fans bought them when they were on public sale, but for the most part, the ticket allocations have been controlled by Miami. And if it ends up being half Florida State fans, then shame on the university for allowing that to happen, because that should not happen.
Okay.
Unless the Canes fan goes crazy and started throwing all their tickets on StubHub.
Are we going to beat Virginia this week, Gary?
I mean, I think they're going to beat Virginia this week, but Matt would tell you that I've been watching this whole season through my glasses, man. And he would say I've been watching them through these things the whole year as I keep pounding my microphone. Yeah, I mean, I do. I think they'll beat Virginia. I think that they'll put a good game together here. I think Jake Garcia will play very well with a week of preparation. To me, the biggest question for this week is: will we see Ja'Cory Brown at all at quarterback? In actually throwing the football. I would not be surprised if we did. Now's the time for them to get a look at all these guys. You never wanted Tyler to get hurt, but now you got to be thinking like, I need to see what I have right now at this position. And Matt will back me up on this. Ja'Cory did not look very good throwing the ball in training camp, and didn't even look close to ready to go into a college football game. So I don't know. I've heard he's been doing better in practices the last several weeks, but do they feel he's been doing better enough to put him out there throwing the football? That I'm not sure about.
Yeah, well, he might get a chance because Garcia might get killed if we play like we did on the offensive line this week. All right, I'll let somebody else get on. Thanks for letting me on.
All right, Greg, thank you for being part of the show. Sorry about the issues with your first call. I hope you heard my answer on John Ruiz anyway when you asked that question earlier.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, I do think he will continue his NIL investment. I really do. All right, Greg, we'll talk to you next week, man. Thanks for being part of the show. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. The phone lines are all rocking and rolling now, so come on in. Matt, are you having a good enough time that you want to stay for a few more minutes? Or
I could stay for a few more minutes. I usually go to sleep at around usually I get in the coffin at like 9:30, 9:15.
All right, well, you stay as long as you want, okay?
I will stay until 9 p.m.
You're having a good time. I'm not going to mandate that you stay, because then I'm going to get a bill in the morning from you for overtime.
Oh, yeah.
But
I don't listen. I just don't want to ruin your show and everyone complaining. I'll stay for another 10 minutes. There you go. You got 10 minutes. Nobody wants to hear from me. Greg's like, Gary this, Gary that, which is great because I could just sit here and do nothing. Like, if anybody wants to ask me a question, it's fine, but I'll spend 10 more minutes wasting everyone's time, and then I'll get out of here. This is the Gary Ferman show.
All right, 563-999-3550. Hit 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. And let's go now to the 757. You are live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
Gary, man, ain't nothing to complain about. Ain't nothing to fuss about. Hey, man, like you said, if you can't get amped up, I only got FSU left. I said playoffs, that shit went by me. I said coastal, that don't went by me. Hell, all I got is FSU. We have not beat a team. I've never known the Miami Hurricanes to be this late in the season that has not beat a quality team. For Miami standards.
That's a
and
great
I know
point.
Y'all agree with that.
Great point,
Florida
Kane.
left.
Yep. And we only have
Florida
what?
State is left. Like you said, I'm coming from Virginia Beach. I will be there. A lot of people say they ain't going. People say, Kim, you ain't going to Virginia game? No, I don't want to go see Virginia. Like Gary said, we should we should beat them. I don't even know about mollywop no more. So I told my man, Charles and them, I said, ain't no need to argue and fuss no more. The season is where it's at. It's his first year. I ain't going to complain. I listen to you and Matt. Ain't no need to argue and fuss. Just ride the ship. But please show up, people, for the FSU game, because no matter how bad they are, how bad we are, that's a rivalry. If we don't win that, damn, the season is really getting ugly to me. And I believe we can beat FSU. Even though, the games they played the last 3 weeks, they came back on Clemson. They hung with Wake Forest, and they should have beat NC State. So, Miami got some work to do. So, ain't no whole lot of jipping and fussing and hollering like I did the last couple of weeks. Let's go, Cane Nation. Get ready for FSU. Play Virginia. Hey, I'll holler at you next week. Hey, Matt, you want to be on the show? Dang, Gary, your ass going to be broke because, Matt don't take no shit. I'll let y'all 305 ride or die. I'm out. Peace.
All right, Kane. No, he does not, man. He doesn't take any SHIT. We spell it. We don't want, the internet police to kick us off the air, so we spell those words. But you're good. We're not on over the air radio, so you're not going to get beeped out there. Burley Kane 26 on the YouTube chat wants to know what happened to the O-line, Matt, and they looked okay at Texas A&M, and since then it's been pretty meh, like pretty ugly. What do you think happened to those guys?
Well, it's a little inexplicable because Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal know what they're doing. That's what they are. Mario Cristobal's an offensive line coach at heart. That's what he was. That's what he is. So I don't know that he saw such a poor performance coming when he was coaching these guys in the spring and the fall. I think to some extent he doesn't make excuses publicly, but I have to think that he's to some extent thinks it's an injury issue, also depth issue. But there's certainly a talent issue. There's a talent issue for sure. They have to rebuild it through recruiting. There's only so many really good offensive linemen you can find in the portal, with that number being 0. Because for the most part, if you're a really, really good offensive lineman who's going to the NFL, you're a starter somewhere, and you're usually probably used to that type of coaching. That's the guy who's turned you into what you are. You're not going to just leave and learn a new technique and want to do that if you're an offensive lineman. And a new system, hypothetically, also. No top offensive lineman wants to do that. So you're already looking at a secondary market that's not great when it comes to offensive linemen in the portal. It's not a great position where you can really just get guys. Defensive end is easy to find in the portal because if he's really, really good, well, rushing the passer, whether you're doing it at Michigan, Wisconsin, USC, University of Alaska, or University of Miami, you're just going upfield and beating your guy and getting to the quarterback. It's not quite, there's stunts. Yeah, there's some things here and there. And yeah, the defensive line coach will teach you some things. But at the end of the day, you can succeed as a defensive end at any school if you're faster and stronger than the offensive lineman across from you. Whereas the offensive line's a little more nuanced. So it's tough to build it through the portal. You saw that when he took 2 transfer portal guys, neither of whom have really worked out at this point. That would be Logan Sagapolu and John Dennis. And maybe they'll work out in the future. They're both relatively young still. But got to build it through recruiting. Got to build offensive line through recruiting, which means it's going to take 3 or 4 years to get to the championship level that I expect, that Mario Cristobal expects. And that's okay because Matt Shodell's timeline is 2 to 4 years. Anything beyond 4 years, and Matt Shodell will be covering the University of Alaska.
All right, let's go out to the 706. You're live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
Hey, Gary, it's your boy Sebastian. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Sebastian? Matt, he's saying hi to you. Say hi, Sebastian.
I can't hear anything on this freaking show, Gary. Hello, Sebastian. What's up?
Hey, let me start the show off by just saying, Matt, you have been calling it all year long.
Well, that's not a good thing, Sebastian. That's a bad thing.
But you have been calling it all year long. However, I'm going to just give both of you guys something that I want you guys to think of. You guys missed it this year when y'all talked about what we expected from the team. Miami has never been a good team or given us a good season when we have expected a lot out of them. What they have always done is overperform when we expected a lot less out of them. And they shouldn't have gone into the season ranked in the top 25. The fact and they should, all these accolades, Tyler Van Dyke, first round draft pick, Zion Nelson, first round draft pick. I felt like the season was doomed when you guys said that. So as you guys go into next year, Miami should just be hopeful they could be bowl eligible. That's what you need to start the season with. We're hoping that we could be bowl eligible because there's a lot of teams that take a lot of pride in kicking our ass than we do to kicking their behind. I mean, you can see the disrespect when Duke throws the upside down U and North Carolina does that. We don't walk into the stadium wanting to beat the other teams as much as they want to beat us. Why? Because you guys swell our heads up and you guys talk about we're top 25 and we got 2 first-round draft picks and all this other stuff. But next year, if you listen to me and say we're going to go into the season at 6-6 and hope to be bowl eligible, we can really expect something out of next year's team. What do you guys think about that?
Sebastian, I'm gonna disagree with you, and Matt's gonna get mad at me, but I'm gonna tell you why. And Matt, don't interrupt me. No, seriously. All right, I look at this. I see two things. Okay, of what's going on this year. I'm gonna start with injuries. Okay, Van Dyke's been banged up, a couple times now. Whatever. Running backs, Don Chaney, Trevante Citizen. Okay, Knighton's been hurt all year. Parrish has been hurt all year. You've been playing with your number 5 running back a lot this year. They think so much of him that he was available last week, and instead they put Lucius Stanley on the field in a very critical situation. A guy that started out training camp at UAB this year. Okay, guy that walked into campus in the middle of August, and now all of a sudden he's playing prime minutes for the Miami Hurricanes. I mean, come on, man. That's like ridiculous. Okay. Trevante Citizen should be the number 1 back by now. He was recruited because he was he was potentially an elite player. And had he not gotten hurt, and I know Matt agrees with me on this, he would have been the number 1 running back right now. Okay. And beyond that, Jalen Knighton was supposed to be, I'm going to use the term superstar loosely, particularly because of the way it's gone. But Jalen Knighton was supposed to be one of the key players on this football team. He was supposed to be a guy that they could get out in space, that could do things in the passing game, that could be a true weapon for this offense. Okay. Jalen Knighton has been an absolute disaster this year, an absolute disaster. He has directly twice through fumbles and once by missing a cut at Texas A&M that was a walk-in touchdown and getting tackled by the shoelaces instead of scoring when on one of the probably the best offensive line play of the entire season. Okay. He should have scored a touchdown. Miami should have beaten Texas A&M. Okay. They played well enough in most ways and most places to beat Texas A&M. So, that's running back. Okay. Tight end. They've lost Arroyo, who I think would have been a key player this year. Mallory's been banged up, hasn't been able to practice all that much, really going back all the way to the spring. And that's showing. He's not as physical as he needs to be. His blocking is lacking. So Jaleel Skinner, who was a freshman that we beat out Alabama for, that was supposed to be a superstar from day one on campus. I mean, he can't catch a cold, man. He can't catch COVID. Everybody's catching COVID. Who do you know that hasn't had COVID? Okay. It's like, I don't understand. Like, this kid was an elite prospect. Okay, wait, Sebastian, let me finish, man. Just let me finish for a minute. So I'm trying to answer your question if you let me. So Greg was making a point a few minutes ago about all the 4- and 5-star players that are on Miami's roster. And he's not totally wrong, but what do you do when your 4-star tight end, Jaleel Skinner, that you beat out Alabama for, shows up and can't catch anything? And he's playing at a 2-star level. Okay. And we could go on and on and on. You've seen the injuries on the O-line. The best offensive lineman, Zion Nelson, has not played this year for the most part. They're playing with a makeshift line. Justice, another starter, got hurt. Ja'Kai Clark, a 3rd starter, got hurt. You're taking one of the worst positions on the team, the offensive line, and you're playing without 3 starters now, and your depth is being tested. Okay, that's just the offense, man. So, listen, I look at each game individually. I look at all those things I just said, and there's more than just that. Restrepo's injury at receiver was massive. That was Tyler Van Dyke's security blanket all through spring and fall camp. Now all of a sudden he's out. I'm sure that caused Tyler Van Dyke to have a few sleepless nights. And then I look at each individual game real quick, Sebastian. And I look at the Texas A&M game where Tyreek's muff punt led to 7 points. This team has been a horror show responding to sudden change defensively. I don't know if the players get anxious. I don't know if they're not paying attention on the sidelines. I don't know what the reason for that is, but have you ever seen a defense that for the most part has not played terrible this year do so poorly when they're in sudden change situations and they have to try to hold the team to a field goal or find a way to keep them scoreless? These teams are scoring touchdowns every single time Miami's offense makes a mistake. It's a touchdown for the other team. Okay.
Okay.
Now and then
Okay.
Texas A&M, Middle Tennessee State. They don't even show up at all. But even that said, if the cornerbacks don't give up 4 bombs for touchdowns like they did, maybe the team has a chance to like catch its breath and get into the game and maybe somehow get engaged and pull it out. How many football games have you watched where a secondary gives up 4 bombs for touchdowns, especially against a team that they're markedly supposed to be better than? The North Carolina game, they gave up 2 more bombs, Sebastian. They missed another field goal. Borregales missed 2 at Texas A&M, by the way. Then he misses another field goal against North Carolina. They give up 2 more bombs. Cam Kinchins, who's your best defensive back, flips out, loses his mind, and starts busting on cover 2 that he's been playing probably since he's 6 years old. Explain that to me. And now you blow, and now, wait a minute, now you blow the North Carolina game. That's 3. And you saw, Sebastian, what happened last week against Duke, a total debacle, okay? So what I look at is this team was not overrated coming into the season. This team has, through circumstances of injuries and the way they have played in these individual games, have turned themselves into one of the most disappointing teams in college football. And I'm going to throw one more thing out. I'm giving you back the microphone. Don't negate the impact that NIL is having on this team also. All these kids are getting paid, okay? And what's the other team in college football where all the kids are getting paid? More so than any schools in the country. There have been 2 schools that have been at the forefront of NIL, where every kid on the team has had money thrown at them this whole offseason. And, you know, what they do with the money and all that, that's a whole different debate. But I'm just saying, somebody actually mentioned this to me today, and I thought it was a great point. Miami and Texas A&M are probably the 2 most disappointing schools in college football this year, and they are the 2 forefront leaders in NIL money going to the players. So is it a coincidence? I don't know. I mean, we just talked about all the mental errors and everything. Go ahead, Sebastian.
Okay. Gary, here's what I want you to think about. As you go through the games and so forth, all that stuff that you said is true. Here's what I want you to know is also true. We played North Carolina. We lost the Texas A&M game. Tyreek made a bad play. We didn't respond. We played them hard. We didn't show up for Middle Tennessee State. The game against North Carolina is leading 7-0. We're in the red zone. Instead of kicking the field goal and giving your team some sort of confidence of just trying to battle it out in the game, we decide to go for it. You remember that? And that's when Will Mallory, the pass was batted down and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that moment. Remember that time during the game. What I also want to tell you about, because this has been a pattern. When I look at the Duke game, we're playing Duke. We won our last 2 games. We scored 7 points. It's the 4th down. We could go up 10-0. The kids still has a lot more momentum, still has a lot of juice. They're in the game. We don't make it. The question I have to ask is, why do we need to go for it? Why can't we just go up 10-0? If you look at Mario and you look at the team, these kids are not having fun. And I can tell he's not having fun coaching them. I think what this is all about is a microcosm of Mario came in his way, and he's still my coach, and I still believe in him. I don't think he liked coaching these guys. The first thing a coach has to do, a new coach when he comes into a program, is you have to recruit the players that's already in the program for them to buy in and for them to want to play for you. These kids don't want to play for him.
You don't know that.
Get rid of all of
you
them.
don't know that, man. That is unfair. You don't know that they don't want to play for him. You're just saying saying that.
Let me finish. Gary.
Oh, I'm gonna let you can talk for the next 10 minutes if you want. I'm just saying you're just saying that. Okay, you don't know that.
Okay, Gary, listen to me. And Matt, you tell me this. When you look at the sideline, how many times do you see Mario pump his fist, encourage a guy for making a good play and stuff like that? You don't see it.
Oh, that is totally not true either. Come on, man, you're just making stuff up. Matt's getting sleepy over here now. You see him rubbing his eyes? You're just making stuff up, Sebastian.
Let me point this point. Gary, just help me answer this question. When we're playing Duke and we're up 7-0, why can't we just kick the field goal?
Should have done it. He's following analytics, and man, we are watching more coaches get burned by analytics. Man, those analytics got to go. I mean, I don't know who wrote the analytics. Matt and I have talked about it. Sebastian, let me finish commenting on what you just said, and then you can go on. Matt and I have talked about this a lot this week. Analytics are not an exact science, man. It's like you could sit there and do a study on percentages of teams go for it on 4th and 2 and X% make it when they do it and X% don't. But there's a lot of variables that go into all of that. I mean, who you're playing, what the personnel is, what the matchups are. I mean, we can go on and on and on. I mean, there's a lot of variables that go into whether teams make it on 4th down and don't. And all these coaches are just blanket going for it all the time. I don't know if you watched the Dolphin game the other night. The same thing. I mean, that guy almost destroyed the Dolphin season. He was only up by 6 in a tight game. He had a chance to push it to 9.
Why don't you kick the field goal, go up 9? This Dolphins game, go up 9 points. All I'm saying is this, Gary, and because I know you have other callers. Here's what I'm saying. Number one, I don't think we ever need to overhype Miami again. That's what I'm saying. Don't do it. Number two, all I'm saying is this. The team that we have right now, we all know is a fragile team. They need some sort of confidence. We don't need to be doing things in a game that can take that away. Kicking the field goal against North Carolina, kicking the field goal against Duke. I mean, what I would rather be up 10-0 against a Duke team in the first quarter than to lose it on a 4th and 2. We don't have anything to prove. And here's my last comment, and this is what I wanted to refer back to. A bad season is not the end-all, be-all. I was watching a replay, and you have to go back. But I remember when Miami played Virginia Tech, when Virginia Tech was humming. We played them in Blacksburg. This is when Butch Davis played a tons of freshmen or whatnot. And I watched us hang in that game. We lost it 27-25. And what I saw from Butch is what I'm ready to see from Mario. Keep the kids playing on an edge of confidence. That's all I'm asking. We don't have anything to prove. In other words, don't do that 4th and 2 going for it. Kick the field goal. Don't do those things that kind of deflate the team, because I don't think we can bounce back. And if we would have never had Trevante Citizen injured, we'd have been a whole lot better, because a good running back can overcompensate for a bad offensive line. Keep me on hold, and I want to hear Matt's thoughts on that.
All right, great thoughts, Sebastian. Yeah, I'll comment on a few of those things here in a second. But first, I got to let Matt go because
he said he wanted my thoughts, but you can let me go. Typical. Somebody asked what I was thinking. You're like, okay, now let's get rid of Matt.
Go ahead, give your thoughts, and then you can go.
I agree. A great running back can make up for a subpar offensive line, but we don't know. Like, it's easy to say Trevante Citizen was the answer. I thought he was going to be. He has the size, the speed, the power. He showed it in high school, but you don't know. A true freshman running back, coaches usually don't like to play them because they can't pass protect, which the older backs can't do either. But that notwithstanding, there was not another back on the roster like him. Would have been interesting also if Don Chaney wasn't hurt. What if? That they should name that the Miami Hurricanes, the what if Hurricanes this year, because we don't know. There's so many different things that could have happened differently. According to Gary, if it wasn't for 18 different plays, Miami would be undefeated right now. So, I
know that's what it sounds.
What if those 18 plays hadn't happened?
But I broke it down individually. I'm trying to rationalize all this. I know that's what it sounds like. And you can't rewrite every single game and every play, but
Right. All right. Now I'm going to go watch Bachelor in Paradise. It's been real, everybody. Thanks.
Okay. You do that, and we'll continue the show. All right. The other thing I want to bring up is that early in the season, there was an article in the Miami Herald basically criticizing Mario for being too conservative early in the season. And I don't think that was fair. I don't think it was accurate. Do I think Mario saw it and heard about it? I do. Because since that was in the newspaper, he has been aggressive ball coach on steroids. Okay. I hope that it didn't drive him, but it looks like it's driving him because he is going for every fourth down, and he is coaching so aggressively these last several weeks, and he's getting burned by it. I don't like the analytics, and I think he's coaching too aggressively for this level of football team because they're not getting the fourth downs, and then they're not responding after not getting the fourth downs. Every single time that Mario's had a fourth down fail, if I'm not mistaken, certainly the past several games, the other team has capitalized on the short field when he did it near the middle of the football field. They've capitalized on short field. Certainly Carolina did and Duke did, and gone and scored in the other direction. And in Carolina, it was a 4-point lead that became a 7-point lead. Against Duke, it went for a touchdown. And you're in tight games, and there was plenty of time. I mean, there was no reason to inject that level of risk with this level of football team, in my opinion. And I think Mario is a great head coach. I think he is going to turn this program around. My guess is that the way this season has gone, it's been a little unsettling. And he might feel like he has to manufacture points. He has to make things happen as the head coach. So I think you got to give him the benefit of the doubt there, unless you just, don't want to. But I just think he's coaching too aggressively for this level of football team. And that's what we're seeing manifest on game day. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go to the 917. You are live on CaneSport Live. How you doing this evening?
What's up, Gary? BK Hurricane.
Hey, what's up, BK? How you doing this week?
What's going on, Gary? Do you think, all right, 5 games left, you think we could pull out 3?
I do. I mean, I just went through it, and Sebastian, he kept wanting to cut me off, and I don't blame him. I talked for about 5-10 minutes there, but there was a lot to cover. I mean, every one of these games has stood on their own 2 feet, man. There's not one opponent that Miami's played this year that they've walked on the field. Oh my God, can we play with these guys? And there's not going to be another one unless it's Clemson. And I'm not even sure, after watching Clemson play these other teams, that they're that much better than everybody else. I mean, they're better. I mean, they're winning. They're finding ways to win. But I mean, does Miami have to go up there to Clemson on November, I think it's the 19th or 18th or whatever, and be scared? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, Miami's got to get its act together. Okay. Stop giving games away, do a better job of preparation, stop getting duped by crazy schemes that the other team's throwing out there. That's twice now. Middle Tennessee and Duke threw just totally funky defensive schemes at them and made game-shaping plays because of it. And it was Southern Miss. I'm sorry, not Middle Tennessee. And made game-shaping plays from it. And you just can't. That can't happen. You have to be able to adjust. So Miami just needs to get its act together. I think the coordinators have got to tighten up. Josh Gaddis, you could sit here and debate all day and night. Kevin Steele, I think, has done a decent job, but maybe because of the problems that he has been having getting his guys in the secondary to do the right things, I thought he got a little too conservative last week. I thought that there were some third down plays, certainly second down plays, where he needed to go after the quarterback, and he did not. And he doesn't want to leave his secondary exposed. I get that. That's natural. He's been burned back there too many times this year. But this defense is not good enough to sit back. They don't tackle. They're horrible open field tacklers. And you saw that Duke went on a 17-play drive that went the length of the field and really turned the game. I mean, just turned all the momentum. I mean, Miami's offense was on the sidelines way too long. And So I thought he needed to be a little more aggressive last week. So they just got to tighten up, man.
Sure.
They're not overshadowed or overmatched in any of these games.
But they have been.
No, they haven't.
They have been.
They have not.
I think at this.
Who do you think they were overmatched by?
Well, they were obviously overmatched by Duke, only because.
No.
Let me explain why. Because when someone comes in better prepared than you, there should be no reason why that team should look that unprepared. Duke was a terrible team last year. Terrible team. So what do you sum it up to? Is it the kids? The kids are more open to learning? Or the coaches are realizing, hey, listen, Miami, they have issues. Jed Simpson probably gave him the whole playbook. Listen, this team.
No, he doesn't have the playbook. He couldn't give him the playbook. But what he did do is he gave him evaluations on every player out there.
A playbook in the sense of knowing the team. A playbook in the sense of knowing the team.
Yes, the strengths and weaknesses of every player out there. Yes.
That team has underperformed all year long. Why? That's the biggest question. At this point, it's a mental thing with these kids. These kids mentally are shot. You can't have that many 4 stars on any team, and for them for so many of them to perform like low-rated 2 stars.
They need to get unshot.
Even with the worst coaching, if you recruited well and did your evaluations, they could muster up more wins than Miami with 4 stars, with 4-star kids. I think these kids are shocked. Their heart isn't in it anymore. They're waiting for the season to end. Like you said, they're spending those NIL checks. They're having fun. Hey, the season isn't going good. Hey, but let's go do this after the game to forget about it.
Yeah, now you're being like Sebastian. I think BK. I think you're saying some things you don't really know what you're talking about. We don't know what the players are doing with their money. We don't know what they're doing after games. We don't know any of that. But I'm just saying, is it a coincidence or is it not? The 2 most disappointing teams in college football are the 2 that had the most NIL money.
And look at the problems they have. Look at the problems they're having. Maybe the money is the issue. The money is the common denominator.
Yeah, I don't know.
So maybe these kids feel that, hey, I got some money. Like I could go out and splurge. I'm not saying that that's what's happening. I'm saying that could be a factor, that the money is a bigger issue than most people or Mario expected it to be.
They might not even be thinking about it, but it's just something that one of our subscribers noticed and brought to my attention today. And I said, you know what? You might be onto something there. But listen, what the coaches have told me this week is that the kids are still engaged. They are actually amazed, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They are amazed at the attitudes of the kids, the way they keep bouncing back, the way they stay engaged. They want to play well. I don't know if you read Tyreek Stevenson's blog this week on our site. He talked a lot about that, and you can see loud and clear how he feels about it, and he's one of the leaders on defense. They have not quit on defense. Offensively, I think there have been a lot of issues. I don't think they've quit, but there's just so much turbulence, but they found a receiver who can make plays in Colby Young. Jacoby George got a chance to make some plays last week. I thought he did okay. Brashard Smith has done better the last few weeks. If they could just pull all of this together, I think that they can be very competitive these last 5 games.
I hope so, because if the coaches are saying that, then the problem is the coaching, the actual game preparation.
The problem is the mental and physical softness of this football team. That's the biggest problem. Just mentally and physically soft. They cave way too easily. They have not responded to adversity at all this season. Okay. Every adversity that's hit them in the face has been devastating. They didn't respond to any of it. When Tyreek muffed the punt in College Station, in 3 plays, Texas A&M scored a touchdown. When they fell behind early to Middle Tennessee because of the bombs and and also the turnovers on offense. They spotted Middle Tennessee, 38 points. There was no response. Okay. When things went haywire against Duke the other day, there was no response. So it's a mentally and physically soft football team that over time is going to have to be reconditioned if amongst the guys that end up sticking, and there's not going to be a ton. I think you'll see another 20 in the portal this year.
I think it's going to be more than that.
It might be more. I'm trying to be generous. I'm trying to be generous,
Next one.
but I think there'll be 20.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed, hoping they could beat Florida State. Let's start off by beating Virginia, and then beating Florida State, and hopefully we can pull out Pittsburgh.
Yep, beat Virginia, and then everybody's got to show up for Florida State. Team, coaches, fans.
All right, Gary. Thanks a lot, man.
All right, BK. Thank you as always for being part of the show. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Plenty of open phone lines. Let's go to the 727 now. You are live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
Hey, Gary. How you doing? It's Jake from St. Pete. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Jake? How you doing tonight?
Oh, I was at that debacle last weekend, and one thing I don't understand is I don't see any means for optimism right now. I hate to say that. I mean, as a preface, I tripled my season ticket spend this year because I was so excited about the prospect of not being infuriated by Miami football again.
I got a friend of mine. He committed to a skybox for 3 years. he's like ready to kill him. He's ready to go find me the tallest bridge in South Florida, you know. But it'll be all right.
Yeah, but like, you know, look, I expected to win the Coastal this year. I certainly did. I thought 10-2 was a possibility. I thought 9-3 was probably realistic. 8-4 is a little disappointing. Right now, what will we have to do? Run the table to get to 7-5? I mean,
yeah, you would kill for 8-4 right now.
I'd kill for it, but that's like, and here's the thing though, is like, these are just maddening losses. They're not like, I thought it was bad Manny's first year when we lost to Duke in FIU, but at least we didn't get crushed by them. We got crushed by Middle Tennessee and Duke this year. Mm-hmm. Crushed by them. We were. I left it. I couldn't. My blood pressure. I thought I was going to have an aneurysm in the fourth quarter, and I didn't even see that Jake Garcia implosion, or at least not most of it. I had to leave. I couldn't take it, and so, you know, like they say, fans got to show up. Why? Like, why? I keep asking myself that because I don't want to, like, but like the whole ride home from that game, I'm like, why am I doing this? I come from St. Petersburg, so I drive 4 hours or I hop a flight and rent a car. I stay at hotels. I spend money at the stadium. I mean, like, I spend a pretty good amount of money going to these games.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's one thing to lose. Like, you know, I told you when I called in a couple weeks ago, the North Carolina game, if that happened in a vacuum, I don't like winning, but like, that was a good game. It was entertaining start to finish. It looked like we could have pulled it off. We didn't. Okay, cool. But getting crushed by NC State, or not NC, Middle Tennessee State and Duke, like, it's maddening because there is just so much more talent. And that game, so we stayed overnight Friday night. Normally I'm rushing just because we leave Saturday morning to go to the noon games. I thought the game was at noon. So I went, and you could just see in the warm-ups, that Duke team, they were ready. They were pumped. They were excited. Our team was just kind of flat out there. I'm not going to say like they gave, I don't think they gave up or anything. Guys were still putting in effort. They just didn't know what they were doing. But I just, this team looks so entirely unprepared. And I just can't, like, a lot of it's on players. You can't blame 8 turnovers on the coaches. But like Mario, he kills himself. How many times are they going to run up the gut and get stuffed on 4th down? And then even worse, do that when a field goal is a very viable option. Borregales is pretty lights out from inside 30. Like, go at 10. Go at 10. Quit being a moron. Quit being cute. You know,
I don't think cute's the right word, Jake.
He seems smug.
I don't think smug's the right word either. I think, and I don't think, I was going to say desperate. I don't think desperate's the right word either. I think he's trying to be aggressive. So, I think he's heard some of the people say he's not aggressive enough, which is total absolute baloney. And I hope he didn't hear it. I hope he wouldn't listen to it, even if he did. I think he's trying to make something happen for his team, and he's being too aggressive for this level of team that he has this year. You can't do it.
But that's being smug, and it's being arrogant, because you know what?
Mario's
not
arrogant.
How many times have we been stuffed on 4th and 1?
It's called that's called not being good enough, man. You know, and yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you.
But
I mean,
I
wouldn't be going for it on 4th. I haven't seen that offensive line move anybody since College Station. Now, they were kicking butt at Texas A&M. Did you go to Texas A&M game?
That's a refusal to accept the reality, and then also causing yourself harm because of a refusal to accept reality. That's arrogant.
Well, look at it from this point of view, Jake. Wait, time out for 1 second. Think about this for a minute. Mario Cristobal is all about his offensive line. Okay, his offensive line is everything. Okay, he's the head coach. He spends as much practice time working with Alex Mirabal with the offensive line as he does being the head coach. I mean, he is all in with his offensive line. When you do that and you're a coach, you believe in your guys, man. It's like, I don't know if you've ever coached. I mean, I've coached kids. I've coached kids. I can relate to this. It's like when you spend all that time coaching kids, no matter what age, you believe that they can get it done. And, he rolled these guys.
Pride goeth before the fall. And that has been a giant fall.
Okay, it has.
You know what? When, like you said, our talent, I don't think it's lacking to beat Duke, and anyone who says that is a bullshit excuse.
No.
But our talent has been suspect this year. You can't give other teams that kind of momentum, especially because, like one of the callers said before, the teams come here geared up. Like I'm on the 50-yard line right behind the visitors' bench there every day, and I see them jazzed up. They are ready to give us their all. And when you shoot yourself in the foot, when the head coach does it, it trickles down. You know what?
Well, the head coach isn't doing it. The head coach is showing. The head coach is giving his players. Wait a minute, Jake. Jake, time out, man. It's like the head coach isn't shooting the team in the foot. He is showing confidence in the team. It might be misguided confidence, but he is showing confidence in his players.
It is.
Yeah.
But that's stupid. It is. There's no reason. You have no evidence that will work. And then especially like the Ja'Cory Brown play. Like everybody saw that. He may as well have called timeout, walked over to the other sideline and said, hey, yeah, you see your quarterback that everyone knows can't hit the broadside of a barn? We're going to put him in the backfield on a 4th down play and run it right up the middle.
Hey, man, they lined him up at wide receiver finally.
That play more.
They lined him up at wide receiver. I was calling for that week 1. I saw how athletic that kid was in training camp.
Holding call. So maybe you're onto something there.
No. I saw how athletic he was in training camp and in spring practice, and I'm like, man. And then when they were talking about how bad the receivers are, and we saw them. I mean, they were dropping everything, whatever. I was just thinking to myself, I wonder what Ja'Cory Brown would look like if he took a couple reps at receiver.
But then, that's creativity. But then it just seems like their creativity is good for like a series, and then it just dies out. And then it's just, we're going to go back to the same old crap. And maybe, I don't know. I just don't have an answer. But it just seems like everything has gone horrendously wrong. Recruiting right now is no different than any time in the past. I mean, yeah, we got a good offensive lineman. Fantastic. But other than that, we're dead in the water with all the other, like in July, it looked like we thought we were going to get a feast of 5-star players and top 50 guys. we're dead in the water on all of them. Damon Wilson, he's going to Ohio State. Hell, we might not even get Reuben Bain from the looks of it.
Listen,
and it's just like, so
slow down,
now
man.
what? So like,
Let me tell you something about that too. Not to interrupt you, but you're getting long-winded. But
go for it.
recruiting
I'm
recruiting starts December 1. Okay. Let me. It is going to be the wild, wild west. NIL deals are going to be flying all over the place. Some schools are not going to be able to afford the commitments that they've made to kids, and kids are going to be turned loose, and it's going to be crazy in December. So I would not assume that Miami is getting or not getting anybody. That would be my advice.
Here's another problem though. Is buying players going to be the answer?
It's all you can do in this environment.
You guys were just talking about it.
Until there's legislation, it's all you can do, Jake. Just be happy until there's legislation and there's some controls put in place. That's all you can do is have the budget for NIL and do the deals. I mean, there's no choice. You wouldn't get anybody if you didn't.
No,
Thank God for John Ruiz is what I'll tell you.
Bama.
I'm sure Bama's got plenty of NIL.
Like kids who go to Ohio State, go to Ohio State. NIL is gravy. If you're having to pay kids to come there, how loyal are they for it? How hard are they going to work? And especially if you're having to dump a Brinks truck in front of them, give them these massive deals. Look, I'm not like, I don't want to make a broad blanket statement, but a lot of these kids don't have anything. So if you go throw $250,000 in front of them, you don't know what the result's going to be, because that's more money than they've ever seen in their lifetime. And now all of a sudden they're rich. They're not looking 5 years down the road saying, hey, I can really be rich if I come here and develop and go to the NFL. I've got $250,000. I've got more money than I've ever known in my whole life. And so, it's relative, and that's not necessarily a good thing. And I mean, hey, take advantage, do what you can. But I just, if we have to buy our roster, you see, look what's happening at Texas A&M. Talk about a bigger disappointment than us. They're a train wreck, and like you guys were talking about earlier, there is a common denominator. I don't, we have no evidence that that's the case, but there is plausible reality there that could be lending to this. I don't know. Hey, Hey, good call. As always, I enjoy the show, and let you jump on to some other guys. So have a good rest of the week.
Thanks for calling in. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. We got a bunch of open phone lines. If you want to come on tonight, I encourage you to call in now. Hit the 1 on your keypad once you do, and that'll put you in the queue. Right now, let's go out to the 772. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary.
Who's this?
It's Duviel.
Hey, what's up,
I'm a
Duviel?
Subscriber, but I don't subscribe to my name.
All right. Not a problem. Thank you.
Overreactions all around. Obviously, that happens when you lose. But let me say this: they went out and hired top coaches. They paid for top coaches, especially on defense. I mean, these are all guys that are some of the best around. And on offense a little bit too. And we're having same issues they've been having for years with just the team just being mentally soft. They don't show up for certain games. When they fall behind, they don't it just mentally fall apart. I think really what's going on is we've been recruiting mentally soft players for a long time, and that is going to have to change under Mario. It's going to have to change because Mario's not going to coach that way either. And that has been one of the big things that's hitting everyone, hitting the players. I believe, I don't know that, but it must be that these players are not used to this. That the character that they recruited wasn't made for the type of coaches that's coaching them. And they're going to have to rebuild this team. They're going to have to rebuild from bottom up with bring in new players that are come in mentally prepared for the coaches that are they're going to be coaching them. But we have, the common denominator is the players. The coaches have changed. And it's not like, brought in a bunch of untested rookies, and we're still kind of doing the
stuff that So it's like Jimmy said, it's not about the X's and O's. It's about the Jimmys and Joes.
Yep. No argument at all. Still there?
We're gonna have to be patient.
Yeah. The question is going to be how patient. I think somebody asked Mario yesterday, how long is this rebuild going to take? How long does a rebuild take? And Mario's answer was that it depends on your starting point, and he's really right. Like, what is the starting point? Where is this team right now? I don't feel like it's as bad as it seems because of all the things I talked about 15 minutes ago. I just think that it's not a very mentally strong team. I think they've let these games get away from them. I think they were not overmatched in any game they've played this year. And I hope it balances out the second half of the season here because, but I don't think this has to be a 5-year thing or, anything like that. I think this can be a 2 to 3 year rebuild because of the portal and because of the way that Mario can recruit. And they need to keep the commitments they have. They need to build on them, and they need to slay the portal once again in this offseason.
Gary?
Yep.
To be honest, it's going to take probably 3 years at least. Because
realistically, probably.
Because the players you're getting on the portal are those are players that, every now and then you get, but usually it's players that, didn't, do well somewhere else, unless it's a player.
But that's not necessarily true. Like, look at what they've gotten in the portal here, man. If you look, think about all the players they've gotten in the portal, from Jalen Phillips to KJ Osborne to Messidor this year.
You're right.
I mean, you've gotten some pretty damn good players. Right. I mean, you have coaching changes.
Something.
What if Ryan Day at Ohio State goes to the NFL like a lot of people think he's going to? What happens to his recruiting class? What happens to his players that are at Ohio State that, might want to go back to another school or might want to, they're not feeling it in Columbus or whatever. Like, you don't ever know, and coaches have connections all over the place. They have inroads to kids. How do you get a Darrell Jackson, a defensive tackle of that level, to come here from Maryland? Just boom.
Isn't he a Miami kid though?
No. But my point is, I don't know the answer to this question, but my point is he's a really good player, and he left and came to Miami. Messidor was probably West Virginia's best defensive player. He wanted to go somewhere else. Look at basketball. Nigel Pack, one of the best shooters in the country for K-State, wanted to come play in the ACC, came to Miami. So the transfer portal, it puts the power into the hands of the kids. They can do whatever they want. And trust me, kids are constantly being illegally recruited and being tampered with. They're being told of different options that they have at different schools in both directions. Like, I guarantee you that there's people reaching out to Tyler Van Dyke and Jake Garcia right now, for sure. And probably Ja'Cory Brown too. I mean, people are always going to be looking in this environment. They're going to be looking to poach other people's players. There is going to be tons of movement. And if you have your act together, like I feel the Mario Cristobal Miami Hurricanes do in this regard, you can pick up some pretty damn good players through the portal.
Gary, I just want to say one last thing, because I know there's other callers. Doesn't mean that there may not be necessary to make one or two changes with the coaching staff, but we've been, blaming the coaches for years. And at some point, you hired the right coaches. When you hired them, they came in with the resume. There might be one or two that the resume is not as developed, but you hired good coaches. So are you all of a sudden going to, okay, well, these coaches forgot how to coach? No. Well, there's been some things that haven't gone right, first of all, and that made a difference between winning Texas A&M. I mean, imagine if we would have won against Texas A&M. The whole attitude might have been different, and that could have changed the entire season. But at the end of the day, the team is mentally soft, and they're not. I don't think they're responding. They're not ready for the type of rigor that competing at a high level requires from the mental side of it. I don't know that, but I can kind of see that. from what I say. But I think we need to stop, overreacting and wanting to fire every coach and start over every year. These are good coaches. I mean, there may be one or two that aren't proven yet, but these are good coaches that are paid a lot of money for a reason. We're gonna have to, recruit. We're gonna have to go out and find better players and players that are, mentally tough. Like the type of players that go to Alabama. Those players go there knowing they're going to compete against other 5-stars, knowing it's going to be rough, knowing the practices are going to be rough, knowing that they're going to be, a lot of demands of them. But they go in already knowing that. Those players that go to Alabama, they know they're competitors, because you're not going to go to Alabama if you're mentally tough, because, if you're looking to go to a sorry school so you can not compete. So that's the type of players we need. We need not just great athletes, that too, obviously. Nick Saban would not be Nick Saban if he didn't have recruiting classes. But, you also need that, that type of mentally tough player. And Mario, I believe, will recruit. Highsmith is there. I mean, we got the right people. We just have to make it work. And I think they will.
All right, man. Is that it?
Pretty much.
All right, man.
I wish I had something else.
Nope, you're good. Thank you for being part of the show. All right. The number is 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. We have a wide open board now. So if you want to get on tonight, now is the time for you to call in, and we'll get you on the show tonight. In the meantime, let's take a couple minutes here and let's work our way through these YouTube comments and talk a little bit about those. Greg Harlem says, Jake is a turnover machine, can complete anything over the middle. What I would say, Greg, is don't judge Jake by what he did in the second half against Duke. It went astray on him. He clearly was not totally prepared for that game, and I wouldn't put a label on him. You're going to get a chance to see Jake Garcia with a week of preparation starting this weekend, probably the next few, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But I wouldn't put a label on him because he threw a couple interceptions and turned the ball over 3 times in the Duke game. I really wouldn't. 818 Cali Kane says, is Chris Johnson still in limbo? We've actually spent a lot of time in the last few days talking to Chris Johnson. We had a story on him on the website a couple days ago. Zuby Charles spent some time with him yesterday. And I think the best way I could answer that is I think Chris Johnson's looking for where his best NIL prospects are going to be. And if that ends up being Miami, then I think he'll be a Miami Hurricane. I don't know that Miami's going to wait forever to play that game. John Ruiz has made it clear, I am not doing bidding wars. Okay. We treat, everybody gets fair deals with Life Wallet, who he chooses to be Life Wallet athletes. He's not big on bidding wars against other schools. So I think it's going to be up to Chris Johnson. If he makes a move relatively soon, I think he's got the opportunity to come to Miami. If he chooses to push it down to the wire, I think there's other running backs that they will be pursuing. And one of them I will throw out there is Mark Fletcher from American Heritage. He's committed to Ohio State. I think he is very much still in Miami's sights. And I think there's a decent chance that when this wild East and West and North and South kicks in December, that Miami has a chance to flip him from Ohio State. Jason B says, what's up with Zion? Will he play this year? Man, what a freaking mess this has been. So in the summer, and I'm just going to tell the story the way I've heard it. I hope I'm not factually incorrect on any of this, but I believe Zion was counseled to get his knee cleaned up. He was giving him some problems. Probably should have done it months earlier. He did not. And he had a knee cleanup, and it just hasn't, been totally right. And now we're sitting here 7 games into the season. Personally, I hope he doesn't come back. I hope he gets right physically and he's a good offensive lineman, and I think he could be a valuable part of next year's team. And I hope that he doesn't try to play this year and comes back fully healthy next year. We'll see how it plays out. I do not think we will see him at Virginia. 818 Cali Cane wants to know what happens if the Canes lose the rest of their games this year. Oh man, God, you could just fill in the blanks. Just fill in the blanks on that, man. It would be miserable around here. I'll tell you that. I hope that does not happen. I think that they will play a good game at Virginia this week. I think it's good for them that they are getting out of town and going on the road. And I'm hoping that they can rally the troops and play a good game against Virginia. I think the FSU game being put prime time a week from Saturday is huge. I think it gives them something to look forward to. And I think it all, together should motivate them enough to play well this week and just start fixing all these problems that they've had that have cost them football games. So hopefully that's how it plays out. Burley Kane 26 wants to know, why does Mario like to pick on us so much? I'm he's probably talking about Matt with that comment. Mario didn't pick on Matt. There was one funny thing that that happened many years ago where Matt wrote a story, and I can't remember who the recruit is right now. But Mario didn't like the subject matter, and he gave Matt a hard time out on the practice field. But there's no issues there on that one. Are we out of it for Cedric Baxter, the running back out of Orlando? Man, Alfredo Roque, that is a great question. Out of nowhere this week, Cedric Baxter sets up a visit to Florida State. And that, of course, sends a signal that his recruitment's still open. And I would be shocked if Miami, which seemed to have been doing relatively well with him at one point, doesn't make a phone call there and see if there is interest in also reconsidering Miami. So I can't predict how that phone call would go, but I do think that there will definitely be an inquiry there. Greg Harlem says this team is soft as Charmin. Probably mentally even more so than physically. They have not responded well at all to any adversity at any level. And it's something that's going to have to change. That's when you hear people talk about culture. You hear Mario talk about culture. That's what he's referring to. And they have been soft. McCaramick is telling me get rid of my headset. The headset's not the problem now. It's just the phone. The phone bank needed to be rebooted. That's all. I know it's been kind of goofy at times this year, and I apologize for that. We try to have everything rock solid all the time, but we injected a lot of new technology into the equation this year, and the first half of the season it's been rocky at times, but we've got it all figured out now, and it's working. It was just a system that needed to be rebooted tonight, and luckily we were able to do it. 52 Biggie says, where in the hell is Gilbert Fryan? I think he means Frierson. Man, they haven't been playing him a ton, and I think that tells you that he really is not playing really well, and they don't like putting him out there. The thing that's held back Gilbert throughout his whole career has really been lack of speed. And, he gets beat. He gets beat because he's just not fast enough. Not too dissimilar to DJ Ivey, who gets beat if he's put in a one-on-one situation with a speed receiver on the outside, like he was against Middle Tennessee. So, look, it is what it is. He's a really nice kid. This will be his last year, I'm sure, in the program. And no, he's not getting a chance to play very much, no doubt. 904 Hurricane says to Carrie and Matt, I'm assuming he means me, Think about the mentality difference between a recruit committing to Manny and the turnover chain, and a recruit committing to Mario and the U's back to work. That is a great comment. 904. Yeah, and think about the impact of that over a couple years, and that's what you're talking about when you talk about culture change. You get the kids coming into the program that want to work, that want to be challenged, that want to be coached hard, and as that compounds itself, and you have the exits to the portal, the exits to graduation, and the new names and bodies coming in that have the right attitudes. That's how you turn a roster, turn a program, turn a culture. And the guys on the current team that don't want to conform and don't want to be part of that, they're not going to be here. Okay. So, if you're a current Hurricane, if you're a parent of a current Hurricane that's listening to this, don't be offended by that. It is reality. Look at how Brashard Smith responded when his family and he sat down and met with Mario, and I'm assuming Kevin Smith was in the room as well, and had a heart-to-heart. Like, Brashard, you have talent. We can feature that talent. We can make you a productive member of this football team. You have to do your part. You got to go to class. You got to be on time. You got to do all the things that are expected of you as a Miami Hurricane football player, and we will do this for you. And so that happened. It worked out pretty well, and you can extrapolate that now, hopefully, over a lot of different guys on the football team, and the culture starts to change. If that happens, and the guys that want to be part of it, they will survive. If the guys that don't want to be part of it, they will not. Let's see here. Co Barney says, "Hey gentlemen, would you guys agree that we have to give the coaches a little time to get their players in, and then let's see?" Yeah, that's exactly what we were just talking about, without question. And it is going to take a little time, but it can also happen very fast because of the portal, and the fact that you can turn your roster very, very quickly by using traditional recruiting and the portal. The new rules allow you to do whatever you want and whatever you need to do to get to the 85 limit. So the more slots that you open up, the more players you can bring in. And so with all these rules, the way they are now with the portal and traditional recruiting, you can turn a roster very, very quickly and get things right in your program. All right, we're still open on the phone lines, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. So I will continue with these comments on YouTube. Canes for Life. He says, "This is time that we see who really loves the U. Ruiz is in, Mario's in, the administration's in. What fans are in?" Yeah, man. I mean, everybody really needs to show up for the Florida State game. There's no doubt about it. That has got to be a showcase for this program. It's an opportunity. I know a lot of you guys out there are scared about this Florida State game. Oh my God, we're going to get blown out by Florida State. I'll do a Matt Shodell imitation right now, but no, man, like, you can't look at it like that. Like, Miami's not overmatched by Florida State. Look at last year. The game came down to one play. It might come down to one play this year. That is an opportunity on steroids, man. Steroids. Like, you're going to have them at home. It's a night game. You're going to have all the buzz of those Miami Knights uniforms. I mean, that could be a great night, not too dissimilar to what we experienced in 2017 against Notre Dame, if the fan base will allow it to be that. Show up at the stadium, have fun tailgating. The Miami FSU tailgates are the most epic thing you will ever see in your life. If you don't have your own tailgate, what you do is you just come out to the stadium, 3:00 in the afternoon, and just spend the next 3-4 hours just walking up and down the rows and watching everybody party. You will never have seen anything like that in your life. Trust me, it is incredible out there. And that's where Hard Rock Stadium comes in handy because it's great for tailgating. You got that big parking lot and those long rows, and everybody can get grouped up with their friends and stuff, and they bring music and DJs and everything else. And it is a really, really, really good time. Let's see. Pinellas Kane. He says, when's the coaching staff going to do something that the other team wasn't ready for? Well, I mean, I think they tried that with Ja'Cory Brown a little bit, but I kind of get where you're going with this, Pinellas. I mean, we have seen teams, for whatever reason, like roll the wrinkles out galore when they come to play Miami. And, obviously they prepare for that game. That game is circled on their calendar all summer long. It's always something simple, like Southern Miss, a coverage they've never shown before. Duke, a blitz scheme that is totally unsound in basic football. Nobody would have ever worked against it in spring or fall camp because it's so unsound. Like, they left themselves so exposed the way they sold out and blitzed everybody on those couple situations, but it worked. It worked. And I get where Pinellas is coming from when he says, when are the Canes going to do that to somebody else? And hey, maybe it'll be this week. Maybe we'll see an expanded Ja'Cory Brown package or something like that. The Rooster has been cock-a-doo-doo-doo. I talked about that a little bit early in the year. Chris Brown points out that he did break his hand. Maybe it's not as strong anymore. He's definitely having problems holding on to the ball. He's had ball security problems all year. I'm not making excuses for him with a hand, but he needs to do a better job, or else he can't be on the field. I mean, his mistakes are changing games, no doubt about it. What the heck is this? My head looks like a number 2 pencil. What you mean? What is it? The headset or whatever? I don't know. Maybe it's the chroma key. I don't know. I apologize for that, E. Taylor. But I hope I'm smarter than the number 2 pencil. T.A. Burdine says the fumbling Rooster strikes again. Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. Is what it is at this point. Pinellas Kane again. Kill the word salad. All I'm doing is making excuses. Jesus Christ. This is one of my pet peeves, man. I get accused. We're on the message boards every day. We do these shows and we have to discuss every single team. I mean, every single thing going on with the team. And we have to know what the heck we're talking about. Okay. It's like, this is not like, this is like, you just like, we just come on and do these shows and, we do CaneSport Live or whatever. I mean, there are hours on top of hours on top of hours of work, conversations, talking to different people, getting information that goes into doing what we do. I mean, this isn't just fly off the seat of our pants here. So it's not always excuses. It's like, can it be explanations? I usually, if something happens in a game, I usually try to find out what and why and understand exactly what happened. And if I explain it on one of these shows or I explain it on the message boards, I'm not making an excuse. I mean, there's no such thing as excuses in any of this. I mean, it's sometimes it's explanations, okay, not excuses. Our man Philly, I don't understand why he couldn't just make his name Philly. And it's Jeremiah 29:11. But Dusty said on Dusty and Danny this morning, whatever the heck that is, that you can have all the talent in the world. If you don't have culture, you don't have buy-in, and you don't have an identity standard, you have nothing. And there's a lot of truth to that, Philly. Mario's been working on the culture, man. I mean, he's been working on the culture from day one that he arrived. I mean, they had 9 months to work on the culture before this season started. So I don't think he's at square one culture-wise. And the evidence of that is that when you talk to Kevin Steele and some of the other coaches, and I mentioned this earlier, the message that you get is that the players are totally invested, especially on defense. They're totally bought in. They want to be better. They show up with good attitudes every week. They want to be good. They are very attentive. Okay. That means the culture is okay. Buy-in, I do think that there's been a little bit of a buy-in issue because Mario works these kids hard, man. I mean, those off-season workouts and practices, they're very physical. They go full speed. He's not playing out there. And when I watched the team leave the field at Texas A&M, I saw a beaten up football team, man. I mean, he got those kids to play really, really hard that day against an SEC team with SEC bodies. Now they got problems over there in College Station. You see, they're losing. One problem they don't have is athletes. Very similar to what Philly is saying here. They have players and they got dudes over there. That was a physical football game. And I saw a lot of guys leaving the field in Miami Hurricanes jerseys looking very beaten up and very sore. And I haven't seen that in a very long time. Okay. Not anywhere close to that degree. Okay. And that's not fun, man. It's like, you're hurting for a week, at least a week after a game like that. It's like, it's hard to bounce back from that. And I do believe that had something to do with what we saw against Middle Tennessee. Now, Pinellas Kane will be saying, oh, there Gary goes making those excuses again. But no, man, it's not an excuse. I saw how beaten up that team was leaving College Station. And when I see them not show up the next week, I mean, I process it in that had to be part of the reason. Okay. I don't want to hurt like that again this week. We have an easy game this week. We're playing Middle Tennessee State. This is a week off. Okay. Now that's suicidal in football. We know that, but these kids, they haven't been winners. They haven't won. They don't know what it takes to win. This is what they're learning. It's part of the changing the culture, the buy-in, the identity standard, Philly, that you're talking about in this comment here. So like to discuss it, to bring it up, it's not an excuse. It's I hope that you can evolve to see it as an explanation, because that's what it is intended to do. Let's see here. What's this one? Callie Kane talking about Mario Cristobal. His decision making has been questionable for sure, but he ain't calling the defense or the offense, which the players are not executing either. That's very true. The head coach is. I just got There's a funny post by E. Taylor who says, "I'm a paid employee of the Crystal Ball Association." No, I am not. But as the head coach, you're responsible for what your coordinators do. I mean, it's not an excuse. It can't be, I turn everything over to my coordinators, because the head coach does always have veto power over that. Now, I'm assuming that Mario, being the CEO head coach that he is, he doesn't call the offense. He doesn't call the defense. I think he meets with his coordinators. I think they discuss the game plan. They discuss what the calls are going to be. And then when game day comes, he lets them do their job. And, ultimately everything that happens out there is the responsibility of the head coach. But no, he's not making the calls. So this is a little bit, Callie Kane, a little bit of a slippery slope here, what you're saying. But I think ultimately the way you got to look at it is the head coach is responsible. Can we create more pressure with a blitz once in a while? I think Kevin Steele's gotten a little spooked by all those secondary breakdowns that they had. I think that has caused him to be a little bit more conservative than maybe he normally would be. But you know what? Like, those guys out there aren't helping him so much, man. They had that, what was it, 4th and 14 the other day, and the tight end goes uncovered in the middle of the field, and they get the first down. I mean, that, that stuff can't happen, man, if you're going to win football games. And So you could feel the Kevin Steele pain, I think, a little bit by, in that situation. And I think it has made him maybe a little bit more conservative than he would normally be, and maybe a little bit more conservative than might be in the best, the best interest of the defense. What the heck's this? Okay, I'm a South Florida pimp for Life Wallet. Bees better have Gary money. Man, I hope Life Wallet, they better have way better than Gary money. I'll tell you that, because it's going to take a boatload. One thing about this season is that the NIL budget's gone up. You could bet the ranch that the NIL budget in the last few weeks has gone up. It is going to cost more moving forward with a lot of these kids that are going to, want to come to Miami in the portal through traditional recruiting. And I hope John Ruiz is up for it. I think he is. And they also have a collective now. I'm not sure how much money the collective has, but they do have a collective that will be participating in that as well. All right, I think we pretty much touched on it all. So that's going to do it for CaneSport Live tonight. A little bit of a different type of show. For those of you that just joined us, we did break news tonight on Jake Garcia. He will be starting this weekend. Will likely be the starting quarterback the next 3 weeks. And it's going to be very, very interesting. Matt and I talked about it at the beginning of the show. If you weren't with us, you can make sure you go watch the podcast. But it's going to be interesting to see how Jake does. I'm looking forward to that this weekend, and hope you guys are too. One last comment here. Taylor says, "Hey, let's change the name of the show to the Gary Springer Show." I think we kind of turned it into that here the last few minutes, but there were a lot of good questions, a lot of good comments, and nobody in the queue to come on the show. So I figured let's hit on all these topics and kind of try to fill everybody in the best we can. All right. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on CaneSport Live. Tomorrow night, we got a big Lamar Thomas show for you guys. Make sure you come back. Warren Sapp will be joining us on the show. We'll also have Malik Rozier on the show. So it should be a really good Lamar Thomas show tomorrow night. If you like this show, hit your subscribe button, hit your like button. It helps us with YouTube. We'll see you tomorrow morning with Good Morning CaneSport, and then again tomorrow night with the Lamar Thomas show. So thanks again for watching. Have a great night, everybody.